YouTube channel near you.
Hello, hello, and welcome to Spiritual Street Talk with Alethea Jacob. I'm Alethea, and I am delighted that you have tuned in to this episode. And I see there's a few people on live tonight on the chat. Hey, Joey. Hey, Nigel. Thanks for joining us. I wanted just to take a quick minute before we get into any of the show content or format to do a shout out to Chris Grizzly and to Mary. We're going to send a lot of prayers their ways. They're dealing with a lot of health issues and challenges right now. And so we want to send them our love and our gratitude. For those of you who are longtime fans of the Bigfoot Network, you know that Chris and Mary are the heart and soul of our network. They helped all of us hosts do what we do, and they helped us create the platforms, and they helped us to get out there. So we wouldn't have shows if it wasn't for them, and we wouldn't continue to have shows if it wasn't for them. So we definitely want to send some good prayers, gratitude, good mojo, healing energy, whatever you got. Send that positive energy, please, to Chris and to Mary, to Grizz there. I thank you for asking, Joey. I am feeling better, although you can hear there's still a little bit of rattle in my voice. I don't quite sound like the 80-year-old chain smoker that I did a few episodes ago when I was battling some bronchitis. But today to me, I was thinking back, it sounds like the beginning of a joke. So today I saw my doctor, my dentist, and a lawyer. And you're like, what? And that was all before 1 o'clock. So it's been a crazy busy day. But all good stuff, getting things handled and dealt with. I actually went for a cleaning, teeth cleaning. And while the woman's cleaning a tooth, she's using one of those little sonic things that just helps to get the plaque off and whatever. And she's working, and all of a sudden she says, "Oh, gee, one of your fillings just popped out." And I was like, well, that's not cool. But at the same time, if it's going to happen, better there with her right there where the dentist could just put a new one in than not. So that was an unexpected expense. But other than that, I was blessed. Hey, Nikki, welcome. So, yeah, so it is, and I appreciate you guys in the UK who tune in. I know it's night time for you all, and thank you so much for having the love for us just to tune in. And even if it's just to say a quick hi and share your energy, we so appreciate that. We are an international family here. We have people all over the world who've tuned in, and it makes me so happy to know that. And I appreciate how everybody spreads the word, does all that good social media stuff, the liking, the sharing, the clicking, the ringing. There's all following, letting people know about it. So today's show, I guess I should backtrack a tiny bit. So if you are new to the show, the format here is I usually talk for a few minutes about whatever topic. Sometimes it's teaching, sometimes it's sharing. And then after a few minutes of that, I dive into messages from Spirit that we got for the night. I pray beforehand, and then I pick some angel cards and oracle cards, and I flip them over, and we see what the messages are. Welcome, Kathy. Nice to have you with us. And then I will probably read a section, whatever comes out from one of my books. Whatever pops in, I kind of crack them open like fortune cookies to see what messages there are to share. And then after that, we'll just open up the chat to whatever questions you have. This is your time. I say it each week, and I'm very serious. If there's a topic you want to know about, a subject you're curious about, a question you have in general or specific, please feel free. This is your time. My goal in starting the show, and the reason it's called Street Talk, is I just want to give everybody the straight answer. I don't want to sugarcoat things. I don't want to make things seem all mysterious and, way too oh, well, you have to, pray in an ashram for 80,000 years before you can even think to try to use these tools. No, 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 no. I want to bring things down to make them accessible, help put it in everyday language. I think part of the reason most people don't tune into their souls or tune into energy or believe they can see auras and energy is the first few generations of people that did it were, hippy dippy, new agey, woo woo people that, scared a lot of folks, inspired a few others. I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. Let me go try. But I was also a businesswoman and a scientist, and I have that common sense as well as intellectual learning and experience and life experience behind me. I've traveled to 30 countries around the world and most of the states in the US. So I'm not somebody who is very easily fooled or gullible about things. I'm very much a curious seeker. And I'm somebody that's like, all right, if you tell me something that sounds interesting, cool, even if it's spooky cool, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. And then I'll go experiment and see if I can replicate it, or if it seems like it's something that's more universally true, but just something I never heard of before. And so over the course of the last 45 years, I've studied all kinds of healing and psychic and spiritual types of tools and methodologies that are out there with some amazing teachers. And I've read a ton of books and watched a lot of training videos over the years too. And realize that there's not a lot new under the sun, right? There's just different ways to spin things and different ways to put things. So one of the things that I like to do is just bring it down to earth, make it reasonable, make it accessible, hopefully inspire people that are tuning in to give it a ponder, give it a try, experiment for themselves. And I'm also a huge cheerleader on the goodness of the human being, that we are all brothers and sisters under the sun, and that our goal should be to figure out what did our soul want us to do in this lifetime. And while I'm here, how can I create a legacy of kindness? How can I have a positive impact on the lives of all the people I touch? And that's sort of the underlying theme of the show. And from week to week, we talk about different things. So this week, it's how do we cast off the winter blues and jump into this spring energy that's coming, specifically to manifest the things we want in our life, right? So the winter blues, I live in Wisconsin. So I'm originally from New York, though. So that's why I talk a little faster than the typical Midwesterner. So we'll just clear that up in case you were wondering. So in Wisconsin here, the winter can be pretty cold and pretty gray. And Mother Nature did a really mean trick on us up here, because about a week ago, a little bit more, we had almost 60-degree weather. It was gorgeous. Some of the little springtime plants were starting to nudge up through the soil, and you can see that little bit of green starting to sprout. And then over the weekend, we got hammered. I got about 2.5 feet to 3 feet of snow on my property. And since it was blizzarding with like 50-mile-an-hour winds, there are snow drifts that were halfway up the building. I'm looking at it going, yeah, that's at least 6 feet. Oh, that's probably 9 feet there. And at least this huge drifts. And if it wasn't for the perseverance and brotherly love of some of the men from my church, they came and they literally walked through 3 and 6 foot drifts on my driveway to get up to my barn where my tractor and snowblower were, so that they could actually clear out my driveway and shovel my stairs and stuff like that. So for me, I was very, very grateful, for that. But this feeling of the winter blues was like, no, I was so ready for spring, and now I have to deal with that. But they said it's going to go up again to like the high 40s here, maybe 50 over the next couple of days. So it'll start to melt. But I am not deceived. I know I live in Wisconsin. Having an April snowstorm is not out of the question either. So I'm not saying, oh, hey, spring's right around the corner. However, literal spring on the astrological calendar starts tomorrow. So I thought, well, let's talk about what does it mean to jump into that spring energy. There's a real energy that's available in that change of season. Welcome, Michelle. There's that energy. People talk about spring cleaning, right? It's like, why all of a sudden do they have this energy to suddenly throw open the windows and clean out the closets and the drawers and the piles of the stuff that's all over the place? And part of the reason is there's a literal energy of renewal. It's like the earth was quiet, right? In the winter, nothing is growing. All the seeds and the bulbs, they're resting, they're waiting. And then when spring comes, there is this creation imperative. There is this energy of blossoming and blooming and life coming back, resurrection energy coming back. That's why Easter is this time of year, right? Easter's in spring where everything's coming back up and around. So if you can tap into that energy, that springtime energy that's starting to come, it's starting to emerge, it's starting to show itself. If you can tune into that, you can channel some of that energy towards manifesting what do you want to create out of the void that has just been in your life, right? The blackness of the winter, the darkness, aloneness, whatever, pick your word, right? For that winter blue kind of feeling, blues feeling. And how can you then say, all right, what do I want to create and manifest? What do I want to see blossoming and blooming in my life? Is it a new relationship? Is it increased finances? Is it a better job, a different job, a new project, running your own business, becoming an artist, becoming a musician, finding a place to share your art and music? Whatever it is, there's no wrong answer here. It's whatever your soul wants to come out and express. And so during the spring here, the energy is very ripe for you to be able to brainstorm and use it. So one of the things I like to do is I tell people, look, especially in one of those beautiful spring days when the temperature is beautiful outside, it's a sunny day, and open up your windows, sit in that sunbeam, get a pad of paper and a pen and just sit there and start to write. Like, take a deep breath in, feel that wonderful springtime energy and write. What comes to mind? What are you prompted? What are the things that you want to create as you're feeling this springtime energy? So fine tune in your own mind's eye. What is it that you're trying to manifest? We had a whole episode a while back. Joey's trying to manifest some French toast. That's not too hard, Joey. If you have eggs and bread in the house, a little milk, cinnamon, you're all set. Of course, you need a frying pan and a stove to cook it on, but you could do it. Some things are easier to manifest than others, right? So the clearer you can be on what does this look like? What does this feel like? Because it's one thing to say, hey, I want a new job. Well, what kind of new job? In what industry? Working for yourself or for somebody else? Building a business where other people work for you, or working on your own? Working indoors or outdoors? Working with animals or people, or neither, right? What does it look like? Because when we talked about manifesting in a prior episode, one of the things that I shared was the more clear you can be about what you want, the quicker you will get it, and the more quickly you will get exactly what you want. And one of the let's use your French toast there example there, Joey. So let's say I went to a restaurant and I want to have breakfast. And so I walk into the restaurant and I'm talking to the waiter. And so if I say to him, I think I want breakfast. Okay. He's going to wait for me, and he's not going to be able to give the chef in the back the order until I tell him specifically what I want. And I may even say to him, I think I want French toast. But is that specific enough? Do I want stuffed crust French toast? Do I want French toast with some cut up strawberries on it? Do I want maple syrup and butter on it? Do I want whipped cream on it? Do I want chocolate chips on it? I don't know. Believe me, I've seen all kinds of crazy French toast here living in the States. People are pretty creative with what they do with their French toast, right? Do I want it on a specific kind of bread? I want it on white bread, sourdough bread, whole wheat bread, baguettes, croissants. I don't know. What bread do you want it in, right? So now making everybody hungry. Sorry about that. You started it, Joey. So the more specific I can be to the waiter, the more specific he can be with the chef, and the quicker it'll be that I get the dish I wanted, and it'll be close to what I wanted. It may not be exact, but it'll be pretty close to what I had visualized in my head and what I had requested. So you can think of manifesting very similarly with the angels or your guides or your spirits that you kind of confide in. This is what I want. This is what I'm trying to manifest. And the more specific you can be to them, it's almost like giving your angel a task, right? Or a request. And I have this beautiful parking angel that helps me all the time. And I will literally say, can you please make sure that when I arrive there, there is this spot waiting if I'm going to a particular place, or there's that space or one even better, nice and close to where I'm trying to get to, right? Sure enough, I didn't just say to the angel, please get me a space, because that could be anywhere in the parking lot. And sometimes that's a challenge, depending on the time of year and what store you're going to. But because I'm disabled, I always prefer one of the handicap spots up front. But a lot of times those are taken. So I put that request in ahead of time. And more often than not, if I've put that request in, sure enough, I'm finding that specific one. If there is a specific person. So instead of saying, I don't want to be alone, I want a friend to call me. Okay. Well, do you have a specific friend that you hope to call you? Is there somebody that you'd love to catch up with? Well, you can pick up the phone too, but if there's the more specific you can be, bottom line is the better your manifesting is going to be. So clarifying your own thoughts. And that's where going back to that sunbeam and sitting there on that beautiful day and bringing in that springtime energy and just feeling within you what wants to emerge, what wants to be expressed, what changes do you want to make for the better in your life, and just start writing down whatever occurs to you, and little by little get more and more and more specific about it, so that it becomes so clear to you of, yeah, this is what this will look like when it's manifest in my life. And when you've done that, it really helps you to feel empowered. And then as you start seeing the things coming your way, or seeing the opportunities for actions that you need to take, or promptings of messages that you need to take certain steps or actions to help the things manifest, or to connect with the people that will help you in the manifesting, you'll be open to it. You'll be hearing those things. You'll be able to bring them forward. So that's what I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Spring energy can be very, very potent and powerful in helping you get what you want in your life, and especially making some of those positive changes and new habits. And also just a feeling of what does it mean to you to be alive, right? In some of the ways, we have this sense of the darkness of the winter and then coming into the light again. The metaphor of coming out of the tomb, right? The resurrection, coming out of the tomb and being born again. What do you want to be born again as? What do you want your life to look like? So you may say, hey, things are fine. I don't need to change anything. That's cool. You don't need to. But for anybody who does want to make changes, this time of year, this springtime energy is giving you extra Energizer bunny energy that you can use. I'm listening to the bunny for Easter. That was Okay, that was my guides being silly. But yes, giving you that battery, that extra energy that you can use in order to accomplish the things you want. And maybe it's just even being more consistent. Okay, I'm going to work out more. I'm going to cook fresh foods more. I'm going to um, make time for my friends more. I'm going to take more time for pampering. I don't care what it is, but this energy is something that you can access and utilize if you choose to. And it's sort of like, hey, it's there anyway. You may as well use it and have some fun with it and see how it can help you get to the next steps. Okay. Yeah, my guides are very silly. You're right. Sometimes they have a good sense of humor, but I think they have to, dealing with us humans, sometimes they must be like, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times I feel like they just pat me on the head and go, there, dear, But all right, so let's see what messages we have from Spirit today. So the first card that we have is Balance. And Balance says, ask Spirit for help to achieve and maintain balance, stability, and composure. Self-confidence grows as you steady your physical and spiritual life. So that might be something to think about for spring, right? Getting back into balance. Did we kind of, I know I'm guilty of this. I stopped exercising regularly. I didn't go to the pool as much. I use the excuse, it's -20 out there. I'm not going swimming today. It's like, all right, it's still dang cold out there and I still don't want to go swimming. But you know what? With the spring energy, I'm like, you know what? Time to get back into my 3 times a week routine. I feel better when I'm doing it, and it kind of kicks my day off right. And that's also something, I don't know if y'all notice that for yourself as well, but if you start the day with a little victory, I don't care if it's making your bed or doing the dishes or taking out your garbage or doing some exercises in the house or going to the pool or going to the gym, doing something that is positive to create an aesthetically clear space in your home or doing something really positive for your body really sets the tone for the day and makes you feel like, all right, I'm on a good note here. Like, let's ride this horse, right? Let's see where else we can take it. But that sense of balance is really important. And as you come into spring, it's like, all right, financially, where am I in balance? Do I need to cut back my spending a little bit? I went crazy during the holidays. I got to be a little better now and catch up and pay off that debt. Or, I have some extra savings here that maybe I can indulge and pamper myself with my joy money fund and go do something extra and fun. That balance, it's not just about saving, it's about spending it when it's righteous to do that and when it brings you joy to do that. All right, so there's financial balance, there is physical balance. We talked a little bit about your health, right? Are you doing all the right things? Are you taking your vitamins and eating good diet and getting exercise and fresh air and all that good stuff, right? Getting sleep, right? How many of us struggle with trying to get good quality sleep? So these are the kinds of things that are very helpful. Then you want relationship balance. Are most of your relationships clearly give and take, or are they a lot of one-sided, you take too much or you give too much? You want to take a look at that, because if they're out of balance, that's going to be zapping energy versus providing energy. Then you have your connection to your soul, your spirit, your spiritual balance. How creative, artistic are you? How in touch with your life purpose are you? How much peace and joy do you have in your life, despite the craziness going on in the world, right? These are the things that you want to ask yourself. What kind of legacy are you creating? Are you creating a legacy of kindness and positive impact in the lives of others? So those things need to be in balance, right? And then lastly, time, the balance of work, rest, and play. I remember years ago, somebody saying, oh yeah, it's 24 hours a day, work, rest, and play. It should be 8 hours of work, 8 hours of rest, sleeping, and 8 hours of play. And I just burst out laughing. I'm like, 8 hours of play in the day? What are you, insane? I'm lucky if I get 8 hours in a month, right? 1 day a month to play, but I was a crazy workaholic, busy woman, right? And then I had things kind of happen, like the car hitting me, which made me have to stop. And I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't going to stop on my own. Spirit had to go wham. And that's one of the old metaphors I also heard in the past, right? God or spirit will talk to us first in whispers and then in a regular tone of voice. And if we don't get the message, then they yell. And if we still don't get the message, they kind of metaphorically hit us with the 2x4. And if they don't, then we get hit by the Mack truck. And so I was somewhere between 2x4 and Mack truck because I got hit by a car. So clearly, back then when I got hit, I was not paying attention. And spirit was trying to get me to slow down, trying to get balance in my life. And I was just going, go, 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 go. And not thinking about any of that, not hearing those messages to slow down, slow down. So finally, they took matters in their own hands. And yeah, I had to slow down a lot after that. But work, rest, and play, you want to make sure that there's some time carved out in your day, in your week for you. Because who else are you living for, right? If you're working really hard, right, and you're working so hard, then you sleep because you're exhausted, and then it's like, all right, can't you carve out some time for your favorite hobby, spending time with your family or dear friends, being out in nature, doing things that you love? They should be prioritized in your life, because we weren't meant to just be here and work, and rest, and work and rest, and then die one day. It was, no, we're here to experience all life has to offer on this physical plane, which includes the pleasures, the adventures, the interactions with others. So we really need to be mindful when we go back into creating that sense of balance, that we are doing that as much as possible. Okay. Then we have next angel card that I chose. Let me read that. Yeah. Gratitude. And gratitude says, your guidance is to count your blessings. When you say thank you to the universe for its gifts, it responds generously back to you in kind. Angel wisdom reminds you to say thank you for all that you have, the intangible as well as the tangible. Because whenever you say thank you from your heart, more is bestowed upon you. For gratitude is a key to opening the doors to universal abundance. Cultivate an attitude of gratitude and open yourself to receive love and plenty into your life. Your angels will smile on you. And the affirmation they suggest is, I am grateful for everything in my life. I love gratitude. To me, I try, even in the craziest moments, like shared earlier today, I'm at the dentist's office. She's working on my teeth, cleaning it, and she pops out one of my fillings with the device she was using. There was too much vibration, and out came the filling. Well, okay. Counting the blessing there was, I'm in the dentist's office. I wasn't eating a sandwich and having the filling come out. I wasn't in pain. I was in a place where it could be fixed immediately. So even when something weird and unexpected and negative happens, and yet it sucked to have to pay the money for the dentist to fix the tooth, but it's okay. The gratitude is, I have the abundance and the room on my credit card that I could say, here you go, and pay that dental bill. So I think we don't realize how much of a choice we have to choose gratitude in each moment until somebody reminds us. So just remember, you have the choice. You can offer gratitude in every moment, even in the challenges. It's like, look to see, like, okay, what can I be thankful for in this situation? I was snowbound for 2 days, literally snowbound. I could not open my front door. There was a snow drift against my front door that was at least 5 feet high. There was no way I was getting out until somebody dug me out, right? So, okay, I got to tackle some projects I've been working on inside, which was cool. And then again, my gratitude was, there were 2 men from church who came because they knew I was stuck, and they plowed through all of that snow to get up to my equipment to help dig me out, right? gratitude that there are people that care. And for me, that was such a blessing. And so those kind of things, right? No matter what the challenge, take a moment and step back and say, what can I be thankful about here? What can I give gratitude about in this situation? And do that, because it'll help you get through the tough times. And when there are good things that are flowing into your life, that sense of gratitude is like even more joyful because of that. The next angel card I chose that Spirit led us to was interesting. This is opportunity to forgive. It says, the situation brings you the opportunity to heal, grow, and release negative patterns. Hold the intention of seeing any other people involved and see their inner divine light and goodness. Your angels will help you release any unforgiving thoughts, feelings, and energies, and lift you to a higher place of peace and compassion. Well, that's a really interesting card following gratitude. So what's stopping you from being grateful sometimes is you're holding on to negative stuff. And what the angels are saying here is, if you can forgive, if you can let go of that negativity, you're going to be able to feel that sense of gratitude that much more easily. So that's a really interesting juxtaposition there, but I definitely agree with that it's very important. And by the way, forgiving ourselves is important, because we can't truly love ourselves until we've forgiven ourselves for whatever the little oopses are or the big oopses are along the way. Forgiving other people only helps us, because for the most part, the people that you might be holding a grudge against or holding anger against or feeling like, oh, I hate this person because they did X, Y, or Z and blah, 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 they're not aware of your negative energy, most likely. You're just holding on to and fomenting all of this negative energy, and it's impacting you and your energy field and your ability to manifest and your ability to think positive and your ability to have joy in your life. So it's like, let it go. It's like you're holding these anchors or these sandbags on your shoulder with all of that negative stuff. It's like, throw them off. You don't need those. It's not going to hurt them by you holding on to it. It's only hurting you. So when you forgive them, it's that act of letting go of all of that negative energy attached to that person or to that situation. And by doing that, you free yourself and heal yourself that much more. And forgiving them does not mean that you need to expose yourself to them again and allow them to hurt you again or allow them to take advantage of you again. You can absolutely forgive them and never, ever see them again. It can just be your own process of, you know what? I forgive you. I let you go. I'm moving on with my life, and do it that way. All right. Now I picked 3 tarot cards as well for messages from Spirit. So the first one that came up, this is the 8 of Cups. And the 8 of Cups is our minor hermit card. And what this card talks about is how sometimes, we have this in-breath, out-breath. We talked about the winter is the in-breath. We kind of go into our cave. It's dark and we're in the creative process and we're kind of waiting to see what comes to us. And then the exhale, the out-breath is the spring. And it is, we bring things out and we share with the world the things that we were doing. And this creative energy just is blooming all around us and infecting us with this wonderful sense of possibility and optimism and creativity, right? And so this is saying with this card, understand the past was more of that in-breath going in, and now we're coming to the out-breath of spring. Okay, the next card here is the world, and the world is upside down, isn't it really, right? Yeah, and so it's a reflection that even if the world around us is crazy and upside down, One of the things that's important for us to realize is we need to be clear on what we want, not just for manifesting purposes, but just in day-to-day living. It's important to have that clarity in our communications with our bosses, our employees, the people that help to care for us in whatever way they do, people that serve us in whatever way that they do, whether that's your plumber, your electrician, your landscaper, your whoever, anybody that you contract to come help with you, or by serving you, like who sells you things, right? Where do you buy your car? Where do you buy your lunch? Where do you buy your coffee, right? Any of these people will be able to serve you better if you are clear at what you want, and also if you are a joyful, grateful person, right? If you're somebody that, makes them laugh every time you walk into the Starbucks or the bagel shop, right? And you just have this ongoing friendly relationship with the person on the other side of the counter. And you make their day every time they see you because you are just a positive person. And they are happy to serve you and go out of their way to make sure they get you what they want, right? You want that extra little bit of caramel pump on there, or a little bit of the whipped cream, or you want I don't know, what's the favorite bagel these days? Oh, the everything bagel, right? With extra sesame. I don't know. Whatever it is you want, if you ask for it, because of that positivity you have and that energy that you're espousing, you're going to be able to get it. Okay. And then lastly, the third card that I chose was Justice. And Justice is an interesting card because it has the scales there. And so what that's saying is, okay, you got to kind of weigh things out in your life of what are you willing to invest to get the result? So even when it comes to that manifesting the things you want, what are you willing to do to get there? Well, if you want to run a 10K race and you've never jogged in the last 10 years, you probably need to hold a very clear vision of, I need to start training and putting in the effort if this is really something I want. Otherwise, I'm not going to get there. It's going to be out of balance. The other part of this is the karmic seeds. And again, with that spring metaphor, with spring coming up, we plant the seeds, we plant the bulbs, right? So if you plant the good seeds and you tend to them, eventually you're going to be able to reap the good harvest, right? But it requires you to pay attention to the details, right? So the seeds can't have too much water or too few drops, right? They need to have just enough. They need a certain amount of sunshine. They need a certain good temperature. And you also need to weed around them and make sure. And there might be certain seeds that you have to thin. And so you just look for, out of the little grouping of 20 little seedlings that are starting to come up, you select maybe the top 4 that are best, and then the rest you relocate, okay, or you get rid of, right, in order to make the room that the 4 strongest seeds need in order to go and prosper and give you the fruit. You have to trim fruit trees, if you want to get a good harvest, right? If you don't trim the trees back periodically, they're going to be spindly and they're going to send all of their energy for the growing of the tree versus the growing of the fruit. And the reason you have the fruit tree is because you want the fruit. So you have to put the effort in. So the Justice card in this case is, let's keep putting the karmic good energy out into the world so that we can reap that positive good energy back. And in the things that we're manifesting, let's figure out what are the seeds or efforts that we need to put in. What are the good thoughts, the clarity, the actual efforts and steps that we need to take, or the help that we need to get in order to manifest the things that we're trying to in our life. All right. And then I did crack open the book to a page. I didn't read what it was yet. Let's see. Oh, and this is my book, of course, Portal to Potential. It is a book that's meant to be a life coaching book to help you figure out your soul purpose to bring you more joy and peace into your life and just uplift you. It's a pretty cool book with a lot of channeled and inspired writing in it. Okay. So the paragraph that I opened up to would be, if you live today and every day with a sense of higher purpose and meaning, and personally do what you can in small and little ways to make your world a better place, you will not be as easily affected by the malevolence and contention seemingly popping up everywhere in society. You may not be able to control much of what is happening around you, but you can control where your thoughts dwell, what you create in your mind, what you empower with your words, and what you express through your actions and being. Oh, amen to that. Again, this stuff came through me, but I didn't like craft it. I just wrote it when it was coming through one day. And this, to me, that's one of the most important things. You may not be able to control much of what's happening to you around you, but you can control what you think about, what you create in your mind, what you empower with your words, and what you express through your actions and beings. We have choice, right? And so we can choose to look at ourselves as victims or look at ourselves as the hero of our own hero's journey. We can think of the situation as challenging, or we can look at it as it's filled with some kind of opportunity to learn, whether that's perseverance or something else, right? So, yeah, that's one of those powerful ahas. When you really get that, it will free you from the drama that we used to get pulled into with other people's stuff. And we realize that, oh, you know what? This is not about me. I don't need to make this about me. I can let this go because it was not meant to be a personal attack on me. I just happened to be in the general area of where it happened. Or I use my poor dog Flash as an example with a lot of these podcasts, because he's getting older and having different issues. And I cannot take personally when he walks through the room and drops a turd here and there because he doesn't realize he's going to the bathroom anymore because he's having some issues. So I can't be mad at him because he doesn't know he's doing it. And I can't be mad at the universe of, oh, I got to clean up this poopy mess. Why me? Like, okay, I could have a hissy fit. I could have a pity party. None of that's really useful. I could be like, really? Why now? But then it's like, all right, we'll just deal with it. Clean up the mess, and get on with it. It's like the more you dwell sometimes on the negative stuff that's happening around you, the more you get sucked in, the less time you have for doing the stuff you want to do that brings you joy, that brings you together with other people. So catch yourself whenever possible and stop yourself whenever possible of being sucked into the drama, the trauma, and turning the situations into these, oh, this personal attack against me, and why did this happen? And, and make it into this big universal thing. I remember one time years ago, a friend of mine got a flat tire on her way to a conference. You would have thought her best friend died. She went on and on for weeks about this flat tire. And I was like, sweetie, that flat tire happened to you how many months ago? Why are you still holding on to it? Did you get the tire fixed? Yes. Is your car safe to drive? Yes. Did you wind up getting to the conference a little later? Yes. Okay. It wasn't the universe conspiring against you in order to have you miss the morning session of the conference. And if that's what you think, you must think pretty highly of yourself to think that the universe moves all these chess pieces just to make sure you were in the right place to run over that nail and get that flat tire. It's like, no, come on now. That's just being silly. So I think it is important for us, though, to realize how much we do have the choice of our own thoughts and our reactions to what's happening around us, right? We have the ability to empower other people, to bless other people, to just with kindness and I loved a while back when that practice random acts of kindness was like everybody's motto, and it was just like, how are you going to pay it forward, and what next nice things what next nice thing do you have? How many crystal balls do I have, Joey? Oh, I probably have at least a dozen throughout the house. That's a rose quartz one that's up behind that shoulder. Yep. Yeah, I love crystals. As a scientist, I was thrilled when I found out that different types of crystals literally resonate different frequencies. So when people say, oh, I'm drawn to rose quartz or I'm drawn to amethyst, it's the same thing like saying, oh, I really love country music or I love pop or I love classical. They have a vibration and it fills the room with that subtle vibration. And it's literally measurable. There's equipment you can put a sample of the different stones in, and they will resonate at different frequencies. So it's kind of like tuning forks have their own frequencies, and certain ones, or the Tibetan bells and bowls have different frequencies. And you're like, oh, I really like the sound of that one. Or, oh, I feel this one in my body here. Wow, that one just makes me feel like my energy just got a bath, for whatever reason. So crystals can have that same thing. So they're very scientific. I was a chemist once upon a time. So I love when science backs up the metaphysical stuff. It makes my day. So, all right. So let's look on the stream and see if there's any other questions or topics. We don't have a ton of time left. I did a lot of yakking today. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Let's see. So let's see. Yeah. So there's more prayers for Grizz and Mary for sure. So if you weren't on in the beginning of the podcast, I was calling for prayers and positive energy, healing energy being sent to Grizz and Mary. There's been some more health issues that have popped up there and some challenges. And as you all know, they are the heart and soul of the Bigfoot Network. And I just have nothing but the most respect and gratitude for them and love for them, and want to make sure that everybody's doing their part to send whatever good vibes and positive energy and just things we want to take that springtime energy and manifest. Well, let's take that springtime energy and manifest it into some good health and new projects and wonderful happenings for the whole Bigfoot family and everybody that's involved, and specifically for Chris and Chris Grizzly and for Mary. It's funny. Y'all probably know him just as Grizz, but when I first met him, he was Chris. And so I just refer to him as Chris Grizzly to kind of do both. So in case I confused anybody and they're saying, who the heck is Chris Grizzly? Yep, that's Grizz. All right. So we have a question here. Let's see. Oh, you're trying. Okay. So is the question here, Joey, you say you're working on an old tractor. Are you trying to manifest an old tractor, or are you literally physically working on it? I'm not sure there. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Okay. So a question here is, do I ever watch Big Bang Theory? I may have seen an episode once upon a time, but I'm not very familiar with it. There's a lot of shows that are out there. I think that was one that was a comedy show, but it did also involve a little bit of science and some very interesting people, as most sitcoms do. But yeah, no, I haven't done. And there's never a silly question. not necessarily tie right into the talk, but I don't care. I've said it before. Anything people want to talk about. One of my favorite shows I've been watching now it's on the Hallmark Channel, and it's a series called The Way Home, and it's really cool because it's like this. It's like history meets magic, and time travel, and so it's kind of an interesting show. You get this family life, and all of a sudden they realize that there's a way for certain members to travel back in time, and they meet ancestors, and they go back through different periods of history, and they have different adventures, kind of like I would call it a cleaned up version of Quantum Leap, which was a show back when I was younger that was on, that had people that were time traveling and doing different things. So that's a show that I can recommend, that's out there. I personally like any of the hero's journey type movies and shows. Or hero's journey to me is, what is our call to adventure? What is calling us out there in the world to go experience and become more of who we are potentially able to be in the world and in life? What can we do, to become the best possible versions of ourselves? How can we become closer to our family and friends? How can we heal up old wounds? How can we, just make our world a more beautiful place for people to live and experience? How can we make our home a warmer, more lovely place? How can we make our interactions with others more sincere and genuine and fun? So that's one show I've been watching, speaking of shows. And then another one that I watched, which is totally, it was really bizarre. It was called John Adams, and it was a 7-part mini series. I think it was on HBO. And I remember my ex-husband set it to record years ago, and it's several years old now. And he recorded it, and he was a big fan of John Adams. In fact, I had bought him a book of the writings between Jefferson and Adams and stuff from years ago. It was one of his prized possessions, a little treasure there from the past. And so he had watched that. Well, I lost power during the blizzard. And when DirecTV came back, it must have re-accessed old data of what series to record, because all of a sudden, all 7 episodes of John Adams was on my DVR. And I was like, what? I was like, I didn't ask to record this. Well, how did this come back? But I took it as a sign, like, I should watch these. I'm here in a blizzard anyway. I'm not going anywhere. I'm snowed in afterwards. So I watched the episodes of John Adams, and wow, it was really amazing learning more, or being reminded more about our early American history. I forgot about a lot of the stuff I knew when I was in school, and we had to read the history books and take the test, and even in 1976, I'd gone down to Philadelphia. We had the bicentennial trip down to see Independence Hall and all the wonderful things to see in Philadelphia, and so it was a really cool movie series to watch. And then one that went further back was called The Gilded Age. And this is all about the early industrialist time in America. So one of the reasons I really enjoy personally looking back to some of the historical type shows, even if they're set as dramas or comedies, or, there's other underlying messages or currents in it, but it's meant to help you understand about that time, is because there were so many lessons that were learned. And also there was a resiliency to so many of these people back in the early days of America. And I think it's so important that we don't forget the efforts that our ancestors and our forefathers and foremothers put in to creating this beautiful nation of ours. This year, we're going to be 250 years old for anybody who's in the States. 250-year-old, right? And so it's something to at least reflect back on the resilience, the perseverance, the sacrifices that were made so we could have the wonderful life that we have today, and the conveniences we have, and the liberties and the freedoms that we have today. And so I encourage anybody just to, take the time. You might say, what do I care about historical stuff? There's some really cool, there's drama and stuff that they weave into it to make it interesting, and comedy as well. But to learn a little bit more about what they went through kind of puts things a little bit into perspective now, if you let it. All right. Yes, The Patriot. Yeah, that was a good movie. And yeah, it was a little sad too. I have to say that. Okay, so homework for the week, y'all. I don't see any other specific questions from anybody. So I do thank you so much for tuning in and joining us today. That's always makes my day when I see people and you chat on the chat, and I know that you're out there. So I know I'm not just talking to myself into the camera here. My contact information is down below here. You can always contact me for a reading, or if you'd like me to be a guest speaker at an event, or help to put together workshops for retreats or Zoom workshops or classes on topics you want to learn. That's one of the things I love to do the most, is to customize for whatever you're looking for. My website's there, and how to reach me is all there. So please feel free to do that. And during this week, y'all, what's the homework? It's the same thing I implore each week. Find a way to shine your light. Share your love and your gifts. Do the best you can to become the best possible version of yourself, to create a legacy of kindness and having a positive impact on the lives of the people you meet. Make your life feel worthwhile to yourself. Have forgiveness and love for yourself and for others, and cultivate a sense of curiosity and playfulness and joy in your life. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your kindness and for doing, again, all those nice social media things. Let your friends know about me if you like this show, and tune into other shows on the network, and always, make sure you put some comments or likes or follows or ring bells. There's all kinds of things you can do depending on the platform you're on. And come on back next week, and we'll see what new adventures we have in store. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. And hopefully I'll see you all next Thursday night. And if you're tuning in tomorrow or next week or next year, thank you for finding us. And I hope these episodes and series have been fun and uplifting and given you some sense of comfort or guidance, or maybe just some food for thought. All right, y'all. Again, have a blessed week, and I will see you soon. Bye now.